Okay, so this is a worksheet about the infinitive. The infinitive is really easy, to recognize. What you're looking for is to followed by a verb. So this would be like to run, to jump, even to be, which is a linking verb there. So the thing about the infinitive is, even though it has a verb here, run, jump, be, fly, whatever, they're not used as a verb. It's a verb form. It's a verbal. And verbal means like a verb, but not a verb. So if you read here, it says that an infinitive is a verb form that can be used as a noun. So you can use these things as people, places, or things. That means you can use them as subjects or direct objects, indirect objects, predicate nominatives, or objects of a preposition. You can use them as an adjective or an adverb, and I think they all start with to, not just most. I can't think of one that doesn't. If it's implied. Sorry, yeah, you can have an implied to. If adding the to would be repetitive or sound funny, then you can leave it off. So noun, that means a subject, to graduate. So it's right at the front of the sentence, and it's the thing that before the verb here is. So this is the subject. Adjective, Mr. Tangier would be the one to ask. So to ask tells us which one. Or an adverb, the guests stood to leave. This tells us why they stood, which is an adverbial question, so it modifies stood. All right, let's do some of these together. Below they give a little bit of information, and they talk about the word to. The word to, the sign of the infinitive, is sometimes omitted. Please let me finish my story. So the actual verb is let, not finish. So finish my story tells me about like how you're going to do that. So like you can leave off the to sometimes. I don't think that'll be on the test. That's too tricky. So number one. So here we go. To verb. What we have to do is underline the infinitive and then what it is here. Okay, so number two, the large dog needs to go. Here's our infinitive. And, I'm sorry, I have to do the part where I say what it is. So like both of these things are adverbs in 1 and 2. They tell us more about the verb wanted. They tell us why or how. And the whole phrase actually goes all the way to the end of this right here. But anyway, it's to go is our infinitive, and this is also an adverb. See, it's right after a verb here, and it tells us more about it. This tells us, how he wanted, and this is, how he needs. Number two, to have finished early would have required more help. So if you go up to the example, it talks about how there's this present perfect form, and the word perfect, I wish it wasn't so confusing. It just means that it has a form of has or have in it. That's all it means. So if you look, this is the perfect tense right here, the use of the word have with the verb. So to have finished early, this is a subject here, so it's a noun. And then here we have to ask. This is an adjective because it's right after a noun, questions, and it tells us more about that. And then to leave is an adverb again. It's right after this verb here, so it's going to be an adverb. And then below, they want you to use the word to in all of these. So if you're going to use it as an adverb, you want to use it after a verb like we've seen up here. To find is an adjective. That means you're going to have a noun to find. So like I'm looking for, see here, it was hard. So you're going to have like a car to find. So like you went to the auto store for a part to find, I guess. It's kind of awkward, but anyway, you're going to use it after a noun. To nurture will be a subject, so say to nurture is something, and then you'll be using it as a noun, and then do the rest the same way. There are plenty of other examples in the book. There are also some examples at the top. You'll notice that the noun is going to be at the front. The adjective is going to be right after the noun or pronoun right here, and then the adverb form is going to be right after a verb. So if you just follow that kind of model, this shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so you should pause it here, and then in a little bit you can look at the other half of the worksheet. So the infinitive phrase is a little bit different. It's the same idea, you just have to underline more words here. So an infinitive phrase consists of an infinitive. Now remember, infinitive means to verb. That's what we're talking about, to verb. And it's modifiers and complements. The entire phrase can be used as a noun, adjective, or an adverb. Usually what will happen is after the infinitive, there will be a prepositional phrase. So you just want to underline those as well. So here's the noun form. Bruce's dream is, so they have a predicate nominative here, which is a noun form, to travel to Africa. And you want to include to Africa, this prepositional phrase, because it tells us where we're going to travel. And then there's the adjective form. Have you had a chance to sample this authentic tortilla soup? So you want to include this phrase right here, this authentic tortilla soup, with to sample. The phrase keeps going. And then the adverb, to give Shamik her instructions. So we have to give, and then give can take an object, an indirect object and a direct object. So even the infinitive form of a verbal can have things like direct and indirect objects, which is why we have to include all of these. And just like in the other exercise, so the noun form is going to be right here in this predicate nominative position. It's a thing. The adjective is going to be right after a noun, and the adverb is going to be right after a verb like this one. So let's do the exercise below. I don't think that an infinitive can be used as a direct object or an indirect object. I think that your two choices are subject or predicate nominative. So I'm only going to do the first 5 here, so let's see. For many decades, farmers have continued to use artificial pesticides on their crops. Now this comes right after the verb have continued, so this is an adverb, just like we saw before. Number 2. However, recent concerns about toxicity have concerned many farmers that they should seek ways to avoid the use of such pesticides. So here is our total phrase here, and it's right after the noun ways that it's describing. So it's describing a noun, telling us what kind of ways. So this is an adjective. To think of organic farming as an idea, however, is correct, or is incorrect. So this is the subject of the verb is. Now see how however has commas on both sides? What that's telling you that it's non-essential, so you can actually delete it. To think of organic farming as a recent idea is incorrect. So this is our subject, and the whole phrase is this long. So it's a subject, so it must be a noun. 2 more. In the 1930s, a British agri-scientist, Sir Albert Howard, presented the world with a new farming method to examine for possible use. So you want to include this prepositional phrase that's attached to the infinitive, and all of these words are after this noun method that it's describing. So it's describing a noun, so it's an adjective. And last one. He developed a system of farming in which wastes were used to fertilize crops. So you want to have not only the infinitive, but the direct object here, crops, to the infinitive. And these words here are used as an adverb because they're right after the verb used. So this is an adverb. All right, go ahead and do the rest yourself. Hopefully that was enough.